Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up for June 6th, 2014. My top story, the global economy. Newsflash, it's not fixed. There is no recovery. There has never been a real recovery, at least not for Main Street. Yes, I know the stock market has once again hit all-time highs, but that's just because the market thinks that, the Fed is going to be forced to keep printing money and keep having this easy money policies. And now the ECB, it's been reported that the ECB is thinking about their own quantitative easing, their own money printing. Their treaty says they can't do that, but, we live in a lawless world. And also, the ECB, the European Central Bank, has announced that their banks are going to be charging negative interest rates for depositors, 0.1% negative. That's right. If you're a depositor, you now have to pay the bank 0.1% for the privilege of them holding your money and loaning it out, and who knows what they would do with it, hypothecate it, bail-ins, who knows. But now depositors in Europe have to pay the banks to hold their money. Zero Hedge called the move for negative interest rates, I'll read this, officially entering the monetary twilight zone. This is a great line. ZeroHedge.com, great site. Isn't this confirmation that everything the ECB has done for the last 5 or 6 years since the meltdown hasn't worked? All these lending facilities and all these things they've done, and all these, Draghi saying he's going to do whatever it takes, and they're going to, then all the reports of, there's a recovery in Europe, and there's no recovery. And there's no way that Europe does bad and the United States does well. No way. There is no way. It's gotten worse over there, and this is confirmation that it's gotten worse over there, and they are doubling down on the easy money policies and also negative interest rates now for depositors. And back here in the U.S., we are continually told, over and over again that we have a recovery, right? And I have continually said since USA Watchdog's gone on online in 2009, there is no real recovery. So here's this right here. Read this right here. This is in USA Today yesterday, and it says, Fed, economy expands across the United States. This is the USA Today newspaper. The economy expands across the United States. Listen to this quote from the article that says, this is USA Today, the writer of this article says, and I'll read it to you. While manufacturing picked up smartly across the much of the country, consumer spending and housing were mixed. Consumer spending and housing they tanked. They weren't mixed. Store closings, negative sales numbers, house prices aren't going down. Sales aren't going well for houses. Here's the line I want you to comment on. I'm going to pick it back. Housing, consumer spending and housing were mixed as remnants of adverse weather conditions continue to have some effects in the Northeast. They said this slowdown was caused by harsh winter weather. This is June. And the writer of this article of USA Today is saying, and let me quote, remnants of adverse weather conditions continue to have some effects in the Northeast in June. That's how bad they want to cram this recovery story down everybody's throat when there is no real recovery. I told you the retail sales have been terrible. A lot of people have missed. I know General Motors and some of the car companies hit on some car sales, but of course, how much of that is subprime loans? That's right, in the car industry, subprime loans. Here's some free money at a very low interest rate. So, they also have 10 million homeowners, according to a new report, that have negative equity in their homes. Still negative, 10 million homeowners with negative equity. They can't sell the house unless they go to the closing table with a check or get the bank to take less money to do a short sale. 10 million homeowners still have negative equity in their home. This is despite a 30-year mortgage rate at 4.15%. 30-year money, 4.15% on average. The housing market ought to be taking off like a rocket, shouldn't it? Housing prices ought to be increasing, not going down, according to one new report on CNBC. Maybe this is why 70% of Americans think the housing crisis is not over or the worst is yet to come. And this is also according to a brand new survey. 70% think the housing crisis is not over or the worst is yet to come. How's that for positive news? And did I tell you there's no recovery? We now know that the first quarter of 2014, which they said originally was 0.1%, which I was on here saying it's the best they can make it look. Some of my guests, John Williams, would say, oh, that's going to be revised lower. Well, now we know that the first quarter was negative 1%. We backed up. Now, that is a stunning fall from the fourth quarter, the official number, fourth quarter of 2013, where they said we had a 2.6% growth rate in the fourth quarter of 2013. And the first quarter of 2014, it's negative 1%. That's a 3.6% tanking. That was all due to the weather? We still have negative stuff all due to the weather, according to the USA Today? You want to have more confirmation that we do not have, a recovery. And this is the same day the USA Today article came out. This little article came out. Let me just hold it up here for you so we can get a nice, good focus. It's survey focus. There we go. And that says, oh, come on. There we go. Hiring slowed by U.S. firms in May. If we had a recovery, this is ADP, the payroll people. They're saying hiring by firms slowed in May. If we had a recovery, wouldn't hiring be picking up, not slowing down? Speaking of which, we have 50 million people, near 50 million people on food stamps. Wouldn't that number be going down? We have a labor participation rate plus 90 million out of the workforce. Wouldn't that number be going down? It's it's the lowest it's been since 1970? Wouldn't that number be going down if we had a recovery? And think about this. This is the failure I'm talking about, okay? We have had all this QE, QE1, QE2, Operation Twist, QE to infinity. Oh, I know they say they're tapering, but my friend Greg Manarino at TradersChoice.net has been, asking people, defying people, please show me where they are tapering, the bond purchases, where they doing all this QE to buy treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. Show me where they're actually tapering. He says, listen, if they're really tapering, bond yields would go up, prices would go down. That's not happening. It's not a flight to quality, according to him. But this is along with 0% interest rates. We have phony accounting at FASB, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, which they allow financial institutions and others to, hold assets on their books at whatever they think they'll be worth in the future, to make them look solvent. Their assets are underwater, but they're allowed to hold them at what they think they can sell them for in the future. Like those 10 million homeowners who are underwater in America. And with all of this, there is still no real recovery. That should scare the stock market to death. But instead, record highs because, they're going to keep printing money. Oh, this is going to be... How do you price stocks with this kind of distortion in the market? How do you price anything? We don't have any fundamentals whatsoever. None. We have manipulation in every market. Gold, silver, bonds, housing, stocks, you name it. We have manipulation. I'll tell you one thing the Fed has done. They've stoked inflation. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, food inflation is already at 10% for this year, and it's on pace to hit 22% food inflation, according to the USDA, 22% for 2014. That's one thing the Fed has done, along with raising the stock market. They've raised the prices on food. And I don't think it's all weather related. Do you? Although we do have some bad droughts out west. That we do have. That's a fact. The G7, there used to be a G8. Russia at 4 of G7. Yes, Russia was was the G8, and we kicked him out. So now it's the G7. But who are they all talking about? The guys they kicked out, Russia. President Obama wants to institute more sanctions against Russia and have his European allies do the same thing if Russia's bad and doesn't cool its jets in Ukraine. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's a pretty bloody civil war going on there, or war, I should say, going on there. Also, he wants, Poroshenko, the new president-elect, Petro Poroshenko, he's a president-elect of Ukraine. He wants, Putin and Poroshenko to make peace and settle things. For sure, I think the country's going to be split. I think for sure it's going to be. But I don't know if they're going to make peace. And then if they don't make peace, I think Obama wants to have he and his allies have more sanctions. But, Europe doesn't want to do that. Putin is going to be in Europe, and President Obama's not going to meet with him. He's going to be in Europe for, Normandy and D-Day and commemoration and stuff. Obama's not going to meet with Putin. Well, the leaders of the UK, France, and Germany are all going to meet with Putin. And doesn't that make President Obama look weak? Doesn't that make support of his allies look pretty weak? I mean, Germany, France, and the UK are all going to meet with Putin, and Obama isn't? That is severely questionable support. And of course, as I started out this broadcast saying that, the European Central Bank is desperate. They're going to cut interest rates for depositors to negative 0.1%. Do you think any of these people want more sanctions on Russia? They're all doing business over there. France has business concerns over there. Germany especially has multiple thousands of businesses operating in Russia. The UK, oil, the natural gas, they have deals with BP and Royal Shell, Royal Dutch Shell Oil Company. They have deals going on. None of their economies are doing well. It just doesn't look good for the United States. We're not getting our way anywhere. Finally, with this prisoner trade, I just want to give you a little, here's, Bo Bergdahl. He's here, and he's here. They said he was so sick that, they had to do something fast. Well, he walked out to the helicopter. You've seen the video. There's not a lot I can comment on this. I want to comment on some other aspects of it. Listen, for sure, clearly, he is a deserter. According to all the testimony and all the guys in his platoon and all the people that I've seen they've been on Today's Show and Fox and everywhere, he clearly walked off to go find the Taliban. He deserted to go find the Taliban and not to go attack them either. He went to go find the Taliban. Now, there's reports of them keeping him prisoner and whatever, and maybe he did anything he could to survive. But it looks like he got himself into a mess, and he could be treasonous. Could be. That's what all the testimony makes him look like, that he was a traitor. We traded 5 killers of the Taliban for a deserter and possibly a traitor. He definitely collaborated with the Taliban in Afghanistan. We released 5 bad, very bad, not low-ranking, high-ranking Taliban leaders. That this deal been on the table for a while. It got nixed in 2011. The military went, no. Congress would have, no. But my question is, why did Obama feel like he had to do it now, and why didn't he consult Congress? This is just. Some people say, the president has dark motives and he wanted to release some Taliban fighters and some jihadists and Muslims over to, back to Afghanistan. He has dark motives. I don't know what he's got. I don't know. But I'll tell you, one thing for sure is that this just looks to me like continuing befuddlement, incompetence, clumsy, not very well thought out, the same kind of MO that we had with the rollout of, the health care plan that, after 3 years, nobody thought to ask, hey, is this going to work? Of them building this thing. The same thing happened in Syria where we almost went to war and Putin came in. Well, let's just remove the chemical weapons. That wasn't the issue, but that got kiboshed. We also had the Ukraine thing where they had this coup while the Winter Olympics was going on. There are many reports that the USA had a hand in that. What did they think Putin was going to do? I've said this before. He was just going to give up, the Crimean Peninsula and say, you can have our, Black Sea base. I mean, and then now we have this with the VA scandal. It's just almost every week there's some screw up, some incompetence, some mistake, the president is unbending. He said, I'm not going to apologize to anyone for releasing 5. We will apologize if somebody, some of our military people get killed over all this. The Taliban said, hey, will you, capture some more people now that you've done this successful swap? Oh, yeah, most definitely. So it's just one incompetent thing after. And then of all the people they have come out early on, Susan Rice. She came out early on with Benghazi on all the talk shows. Oh, it was a video and it was spontaneous and it wasn't the Taliban. Lie, lie, lie. And then Susan Rice comes out, who's a national security official in the Obama administration, saying that Bergdahl served with honor and distinction. Surely she knew that was false. Surely she knew he was a deserter. Surely she knew there was charges of him collaborating with the Taliban. Surely she knew that. Just one clumsy, idiotic, poorly thought out, incompetent mistake after another. And my fear is for how America looks, how we look to our allies, how we look to our adversaries, how we look to somebody who may become our ally, how we look to somebody who may become our adversary. I don't see how America doesn't look completely disheveled, incompetent, and weak. And the President of the United States is a reflection of America. Thank you for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments and donations. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Have a nice weekend.